But the Arizona Bowl, and this is a Barstool production, like Barstool sponsors it. It's going to be like a Barstool broadcast, kind of like they did in college basketball early. Remember last month they did that Barstool Invitational? They had their own production of the broadcast. Same thing here with this Arizona Bowl. Wyoming and Ohio in Tucson. We've got Ohio 1.5 point favorites, 43 the total in this one. Obviously, we know Curtis Rourke out for the season, injured, torn ACL. We know it's going to be C.J. Harris at quarterback, and he showed you a little something in the Bowling Green game, but he showed you even more in the Toledo game and in the MAC championship, and it wasn't really all that good, at least in terms of throwing the football. He's definitely got some athleticism, but man, he's going to have to improve in terms of throwing that football. I get concerned a little bit here about Ohio. You lose the MAC championship game. This is, a bit of a disheartening loss to Toledo. Curtis Rourke, your all-world quarterback, is out, for the season. Can we trust this passing game to work against Wyoming's defense? I'm not so sure. And when you look at Wyoming going into this bowl game, it's one of those teams that, down the stretch, we saw that defense get better. It looks like, unfortunately, though, there are some things you do get a little worried about from a opt-out standpoint. Transfer portal, I should say. Titus Swen, we know how good he was at running back for Wyoming this year. He carried the offense at times because the quarterback play was so spotty. Titus Swen's hit the transfer portal. So, that definitely is concerning for Wyoming. So much of their offense was around him and running the football. So hopefully whoever's going to be the backup running back here in this game, it looks like it's going to go to both DQ James and DeWyan McNeely. Going to end up being the two players taken up in the absence of Swen at running back. Hopefully they can produce, because the run game was certainly important to any offensive success Wyoming had. But, Wyoming did win 4 of their last 6 games. A lot of the wins were against the weaker teams, New Mexico, Utah State, Hawaii, Colorado State, but they were competitive against Boise State, and then they ran into Fresno on a bad day after a tough loss to Boise. I think they just didn't have anything in the tank after just a real tough loss. They gave it their all against Boise in that 3-point loss, and they just couldn't rebound. They couldn't get off the mat for that, get up off the mat for that Fresno State game in their finale. You look at, by the way, coaches with good bowl track records. And by the way, this is going to be the first bowl game for the new Ohio head coach who took over from Frank Solich. But Craig Bohl, 11-3 against the spread in bowl games. Year after year after year, Craig Bohl has been a very, very good bowl head coach. His teams have been good in these bowl games at Wyoming over the years. So I haven't bet it yet, but I'm certainly leaning to the Wyoming side in this game. Connor Mack, what do you think?
This is Wyoming, I think, here. The no Rourke, Harris, he can't get it done. He's athletic, but he can't throw it. And Wyoming will smother him. As you mentioned, pretty good defense throughout the year, even their schedule that they played. And you mentioned the backup running. Whoever's in there, they'll be able to run it, in this one. Wyoming, not a high-flying scoring team, so they just run it. They only average 20 points a game, 112th in the country. They win this game here, and I lean under. Ohio's defense isn't great. Wyoming seems like they could get maybe 3 touchdowns, and if they play like that Toledo defense isn't good, and Wyoming's better than them, if there's a little repeat of that, this game will stay under.